All right, guys. I think I might have it figured out. I'm 23 minutes behind. I had everything all set up this morning. I had everything ready to go. I had everything on the computer ready, and I don't know what happened. Life happens, I guess. So let me know if this thing's working in the chat, guys. I don't know if we're actually live now or not. We'll see. All right, it says there's 7 people viewing now, so I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Like I said, I do apologize for the problems this morning. It's just how it goes, I guess. I don't know. But so I do appreciate you guys clicking over, spending a little time with me today. Got a topic I want to talk about that I think homestead people probably already deal with on a daily basis. Not everyone, but I think a lot of us. It's just part of life. And what I'm going to talk about today is marriage. Um, you know, happy life. To get a happy life, you got to have a happy wife. So it's an old saying: happy wife, happy life. So I say several years ago, I don't know. Maybe I'll just start with a little backstory. My wife and I have been married for 10 years. We got married in 2006. I got to move this so I can see the chat, guys. We got married in 2006. Um, we met in 2005, married 2006. 4 days after I got married, I left for patrol school, was gone for 16 weeks. And rough start to our marriage. I mean, you could imagine being gone for that long, just right off the beginning of the marriage. Big Bear says if you need a moderator, I'll do it. Big Bear sounds great to me, but I got to figure out how to do that. So, give me just a minute, guys. I'm having a little bit of issues here. There we go. All right, Big Bear, I set you up as a moderator. And guys, let me just say, if you have any questions, leave them all in caps, and I'll try to answer it. If I miss it, just keep asking. Keep with me, okay? So, anyways, we're talking about marriage today. I figure what a topic. You don't hear many homestead channels talk about marriage and the importance of a happy marriage and a healthy marriage and what it takes for marriage. So, I've been married since 2006, as I was saying. We got married May 2006, left patrol school, blah blah blah. Catch up. So then we take off, and our life together in our marriage is a law enforcement marriage. And we all know, or maybe not all of us, but anybody who's ever been in law enforcement knows that uh, people who are in law enforcement have a huge divorce rate. It's unbelievably high. Um, so we're already competing with 2 young people getting married. That's terrible. Terrible success rate of marriage. You're getting married at 20, 21, 22 years old. Law enforcement, just anyway. So marriage in America today is probably not taken as serious as it used to be. So my wife and I got into, thinking over the years of watching people and their failed marriages, and we got into a situation where we're trying to figure out what we can do to help. Because not that we have the best marriage, and we are by no means experts. We're not certified in any way, marriage counselors or anything like that. But we sit around for how big are those bucks behind you? Well, we'll answer some of those questions in a little while. Um, Anyways, we sit around and watch marriages around us just fall apart with friends and family, and getting married in our early 20s and starting a family. A lot of people around us did the same things too, and you know, marriages. We just watched marriages around us fall apart, and it just kind of broke our hearts. And we wanted to help, but we really didn't know what we could do. So we're sitting around just. It seemed like time and time again watching friends just lose their marriage. So we got really interested in it, and my wife kind of got to doing some digging on the internet and YouTube, and trying to learn what we can do to help. And we found a company called the Family Dynamics Institute, and they have a class called the Dynamic Marriage. And basically, the Dynamic Marriage is built around a book written by Willard Harley, and it's called His Needs, Her Needs. And the class itself is a marriage enrichment class. It's not just meant for couples that are having problems or going through issues. It's for everybody. It's a marriage enrichment course. So we found this class. There weren't any classes offered around us, but there was a instructor class, a facilitator training class. So we signed up for it and drove down to Austin for 3 days and went through the training for this class. And it was just unbelievable. This class is just life changing. And I'll get everything set up. I had it in my other attempt at going live. I had all my descriptions set up with a link to Amazon to the book, but I'll get a link in there. It's His Needs, Her Needs by Willard Harley. And I'm going to talk a lot about that book today, and a lot of the materials and things from the class that we lead. And if you're interested in that kind of a class, you can just go to the website at Family Dynamics Institute, and they offer these classes all over the country. You can sign up. There may be one close to you from time to time. As I was saying, we're wanting to help marriages, and where do we start? What do we do? What is marriage today? What's the difference today versus 50, 60 years ago? And we live in kind of a disposable society in America. I think everything is disposable. Everything is made to be thrown away, and I feel like that marriages have followed that path too. I'm not, I don't want to get too far in depth in the whole theory on divorce and what is divorce okay? Is divorce, that's not what this is about. But I feel like many people today have just decided that marriage is just a piece of paper, and we don't feel that way. We don't see it that way. We're Christians. We're believers. We believe that marriage was an institute ordained by God, that it began in the Garden of Eden when God created Adam. He knew Adam would be lonely, so he created a mate, and he created woman, and that is where we believe marriage came from. And there's some scripture in Ephesians that you hear at almost every wedding you go to. It seems like they all read a lot of the same scriptures, and I've kind of got a little theory on some of that scripture, and I want to share it with you a little bit. So Ephesians 5, verse 22 is where we get our instructions for marriage. So verse 22 says, "Wives." Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. The first word in Ephesians 5, verse 22, is wives. Okay? A lot of times, I think men get stuck on this verse, and a lot of husbands, and it's just, we kind of cut up and joke about it, but this is instructions for wives. This isn't instructions for men on what to tell your wife to do. Okay, so wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. Okay, so it's not saying, men, tell your wife she has to submit to her or submit to you. This is instructions for the wife. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let wives be to their own husbands in everything. So that's instructions for the wife. That's not instructions for the man. That's not for us, okay? We can read it, but that's not our instructions. Okay, so verse 25 says, husbands, love your wife just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it, and that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word, and that he might present it to himself as a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Okay? So husbands, we're to love our wives just as Christ loved the church. And that's a task that's so high. I mean, I can't even really comprehend that. The love that Christ had for the church. And Christ was willing to give his life and to hang on the cross for the church, for the people. And that's how husbands, that's a command that we're supposed to love our wives just as Christ loved the church. And some days that's tough. That's hard to remember on those days where when you get home from work tired, and your wife is tired and the kids are crazy, and you just want to relax, and you slip and get into an argument with your wife, and that's not what Christ would do with the church. The church as the body of the people, we're always falling short of Christ, and he still loves us, and he puts us first in everything. So husbands, love your wife just as Christ loved the church is extremely tough, but that's where we get our commands for marriage is right here, guys, in the Bible. If I can get it open right. Okay. That's just instructions. This is just an instruction book. And if you read it, it's full of instructions. So back to this class, his needs, her needs, the dynamic marriage, the book, his needs, her needs, all this stuff ties together. The his needs, her needs book isn't full of scripture, but it's all scriptural based. So the his needs, her needs is building an affair-proof marriage. So the book talks about affairs, but that's not what it's all about. There's a lot more steps to a failing marriage before you get to an affair a lot of times. Sorry, I'm trying to read a few comments here. Okay, so the premise, the idea behind this book, His Needs, Her Needs, is based on the differences in emotional needs and love busters. So each chapter is broke down around certain emotional needs and love busters. So the emotional needs that Willard Harley talks about in his book are affection, sexual fulfillment, conversation, recreational companionship, honesty and openness, attractiveness of the spouse, financial support, domestic support, family commitment, and admiration. So those are the emotional needs. And basically, that's not all of the emotional needs that people have, but in a marriage, that's what he in his practice has come up with as the top emotional needs for people, and they can change. That's the thing about these emotional needs is everyone's needs are different, and everyone's needs are constantly changing depending on where you're at in life, and some of them may change day to day. And so, what's hard for a lot of people, and me included, is sometimes I know what my emotional needs are. So sometimes I feel like that's what I need to do to help make my wife happy. But sometimes her emotional needs are completely different from what I think they are. So if I feel like, say just for instance, say my top needs were recreational companionship and conversation, that may be what um, that may be what I try to do to please my wife, and uh, that may be not what she needs at the time. She may be looking for, affection and openness and honesty. So if you don't know what your spouse's needs are, it's hard to meet those needs. And when you're trying to have your needs met, you know, you've what I want to say. You got to go about it in a way. If your spouse doesn't know what your needs are, what needs you're needing met, how are they going to meet those? Um, and a big thing in marriage is kind of like the golden rule, really. I'm going to delete this comment real quick. If you meet your spouse's needs as you want your, let me start over. Meet your spouse's needs as you want your spouse to meet your needs. So if you're all just about, me, I need you to meet my needs. If you don't meet their needs, why are they going to want to meet yours? So it's just like the golden rule, guys. I mean, love your wife, and wives, love your husband and treat them the way you want to be treated. And hey, trying to catch up on comments, guys. I have a hard time talking and reading at the same time. So, another big thing they talk about in the book are the 3 stages of marriage, and those 3 stages are intimacy, conflict, and withdrawal. And we can go through those 3 stages of marriage on a daily basis, weekly basis, yearly basis. You can have intimacy, which is meeting each other's needs. Conflict, you're basically not meeting each other's needs, and withdrawal is just you're done. And you can go through those stages, all 3 stages in one day sometimes. But here's the key: is you always go. It always goes intimacy, conflict, withdrawal. And to get back to intimacy, you have to go through that conflict to get back to your intimacy. That's just part of it. So as long as you're working hard to meet your spouse's needs, it's kind of like the Love Dare. If you've ever read the Love Dare book or the movie Fireproof or any of those Christian type movies like that, they it's always they get into that withdrawal, and it doesn't just automatically go back into happy wonderland when one person does something. You've got to, once you're into that withdrawal stage, you got to go back through a conflict and work things out to get to that intimacy or making up time. So back into the book, his needs, her needs. So you got all of your emotional needs, but you've also got love busters, and love busters basically are things that we do that basically cause problems with how our spouse loves us. And the ones that are listed in the book are selfish demands, disrespectful judgments, angry outbursts, dishonesty, annoying behavior, and independent behavior. And I think a lot of times we do those things out of habit, or we just get in a routine and you don't realize it. So, some of them are big, like dishonesty. If you're dishonest with your spouse, that's obvious. That's going to be a problem. But the little things, annoying behaviors, if there's little annoying things that you do that drive your spouse crazy, and it may be something as silly as picking your nose, and your wife doesn't like it or whatever. Those can be love busters. The little ones, they're not necessarily an issue as far as big problems, but it's small things. If small things just keep building up and keep building up, it could turn into a bigger issue. So um, our our goal is to do away with our love busters. If our spouse identifies a love buster, if our spouse comes to us and says, hey, maybe it's selfish demands, maybe it's you want to go for me. It's not necessarily a selfish demand, but this falls into this category. Is when I get off work, I've usually got 900 things planned out in my head that I want to go do. And sometimes, I may come in the door, change clothes, and I'm outside, and my wife typically isn't going to say, hey, I don't want you to go do that. She's just going to let me go. And over time, that gets to be a routine, and my selfish side of me, is thinking about me and forgetting that this is a partnership. So sometimes, especially before my wife went back to work, she'd have been at home all day with one or two of the kids, and I come home and she's just needing that affection or conversation. But the selfish side of me wants to go do my thing without even talking to her about what her plans are. So, um, it's a constant struggle between meeting having your own emotional needs met, and doing away with those love busters between you and your spouse. Um, Let me catch up on some of the comments for just a second, guys. Okay, let's see, where's it at? Uh, Alderman Farm says the chat appears to be way ahead of the video. Is that normal? Man, it's probably my internet speed. Honestly, guys, the live stream, um, I don't know if it's gonna work or not here with my internet speed, because the biggest part of the live stream is being able to feed off the chat and to talk back and forth with you guys, and the video lag is I'm gonna say it's probably 2 minutes. So the chat's so far behind my video, it's hard to answer questions without getting so far off topic. So I do apologize for that, and I don't know how to fix that problem, but I'm gonna try. So, anyways, back to marriage. Maybe this isn't just a strictly a homesteading topic by any means, but there's probably a pretty good portion of us that are married or will be married, and homestead type people, the community that we're working to build together here. If you have a spouse, and you're not taking care of your spouse and taking care of your marriage and keeping your marriage happy, your homestead is going to fall apart, because if you're not working together, then how are you going to get any of this stuff done as a team? I mean, the homesteading lifestyle takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work, and it's kind of like my wife and I, with this YouTube stuff and in the homestead stuff, the gardening and stuff. She's just not that into it. She's an awesome cook, and anything I cook or anything I grow and bring in the house, she's gonna cook, and she does some amazing things in the kitchen. So when I say my wife's not really into homesteading, what I really mean is she could care less about the outside stuff. She's not interested in the garden things, but she's still into it, in her own way. Just like with my YouTube channel. If I say, hey, I want you to sit down and make this video, and I want to kind of coach you on what I want you to say, she like goes into panic mode. She hates it. She hates it. But if I'm making a video and I just kind of include her in it, sometimes she ducks and runs, and that's that's just part of our story, and that's just part of the storyline I create. But there's times where I put my arm around her and talk to the camera, and she's fine with that. But that's not her thing. I'm not gonna force her into what I want to do. If she wants to come around and enjoy it, then hey, that's great. But otherwise, I'm going to continue doing it, and maybe someday she'll come around. So marriage is a give and take. All right, let me catch up on some comments, guys. Rain Country Homestead. Hey, thanks for your comments yesterday. I haven't really got to check out your channel. I hadn't followed you or anything yet. I'm gonna go check out your stuff. But your comment says wives need to also understand the part about submitting. I know that sounds horrible, but I've found that over the years I show proper submission, the more freedoms he has given me, and he spoils me rotten. For a lot of women, submission, that's a touchy word. There's a lot of women that don't want to hear that. That's a very touchy subject. But if you kind of change the word submission into just I don't know what kind of word I want to use, but if you take that word submit, that's a hard word for a lot of people to swallow. No, we're all independent people nowadays. Most people don't want to submit to anybody else. But when you look at it as the biblical side of things, wives submit. It's a different meaning than what I think most people in today's society view submission. I mean, most people are going to say that says submit. That means I'm beneath them, and I don't want to be below anybody. I'm their equal, and I see marriage as two people walking side by side, and the submission side of things is a woo, you know, uh, you can get a lot of people fired up with that one word, but really it just means is just to be a part of that team, and there's going to be a leader and a follower. Um, but that submission word, woo. Alderman Farms says perhaps I could lower the quality of my video feed as long as we can barely see you. It'd be fine. Your audio is superb, by the way. I've lowered my bit rate on my encoding software. Let's see. Let me get back over to it. I'll put my bit rates at 750, and it started off at like 1500. So I've worked my way down. So I'm gonna really drop my video bit rate. Let's say 250. And I don't know if that'll work or not. So let me catch them. Or Alderman Farms, you talked about doing like American Homestead and do audio only. I could, and I don't know. It's just not as interesting to watch, and it's just a podcast, and I don't know. If we have to do that, we have to do that. I mean, I know the video is just a talking head, so okay. So basically, that was the gist of what I had to talk about today. Was just talking about marriage and how it's both partners who have to work. Marriage is work. Marriage is hard. Nobody tells you that. Well, they kind of joke around about it. When you get married, nobody says this is going to be one of the hardest things that you do is 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 maintaining that love you have for your spouse for years. When it's new, it's easy, but over the years, it becomes difficult at times. But it has ups and downs, and the ups should tremendously outweigh the downs. And there's nothing I can't imagine my life without my wife. It's just she's unbelievably awesome, and I feel like I was talking about submission and everything. In her own way, she submits to my leadership and my role as the leader of our family, but that doesn't mean she is below me and submits to me, in anything I say. We're partners and we do life together. Um, all right, guys. So the chat's way behind. Um, I'm gonna throw out a question or just throw out some stuff on the chat real quick, and I'll try to get some answers on the chat, and I'll address them. So if there's anything you want me to talk about, I'll just send a message on the chat. So we got a few more minutes here, and I'll try to answer any questions. It doesn't have to be about the marriage type conversation. It can be anything. I hadn't posted. I don't know. I guess I only posted one video since my last live with Emily in the kitchen making pancakes, and it was just a busy week at work. Woo. I didn't really have time to post a lot of videos. Weston had his first football game last night. I thought, well, I could make a little video there. They got beat like 36-0, so it wasn't a great game to watch. It was pretty bad. Alderman Farms. Paul says Ephesians 5:21 says submit to one another, so it's a two-way street. You're absolutely right, and that was basically the gist of what I was trying to say a while ago. Is people just see that scripture, Ephesians 5:22. They see that wives submit to your own husband, but it also follows with as to the Lord. So you're submitting. That submission is you're not treating your husband like the Lord, but they see that wives submit to your husbands, and they get stuck on that one verse. And I was just kind of pointing that out. So, anyways, just kind of wrapping up for the day. I posted a picture over on Instagram yesterday of some raised beds that I built, so I'll have a video coming up on that. And it was a video, or the raised bed idea that I built. The style that I went with came from Joe over at Homestead, and I'm sure his video is 10 times better than what mine will turn out to be. But I had some leftover materials from my barn project, and his idea for his raised beds worked perfect because I had most of the material laying around already. So I'll get a video up on that. I'm gonna try to edit it maybe today. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it posted tonight. We'll see. It's Friday night. Woo! Friday. I'm off. I'll go back to work tomorrow. It's a holiday weekend, so probably busy. I need to try to come up with some ideas and get some more videos up. I got things stewing around. It's just balancing work and kids and family time and everything. So I'll get more videos up. One thing I'm coming up on, well, I actually just passed 1,700 subscribers this week, and I'm almost at 100,000 views. So I really want to do some sort of some sort of giveaway for my subscribers, but I haven't figured out what I want to do yet. I want to try to make it a subscriber giveaway to try to get to 2,000 subscribers, but I need some ideas on something to give away. I haven't, I had a couple ideas. Um, I was trying to round up the materials to build one of those walks. I've got a video of a homemade walk that I've got for cooking outside. I just haven't had any luck finding the discs, a big enough disc, without buying it online for an outrageous price. Usually I can find some on some old farm equipment, and it's not hard to build, and that would be a really good giveaway. But the issue is the thing probably weighs 30 pounds, so shipping would be way high. So if you guys got any ideas for something I could do for a giveaway video to my subscribers, I would really appreciate it. Shoot me a message or something, whatever, I don't know. I'm still new to all this, and I really enjoy it, but it's new, so I'll catch up and read a couple comments. Mother of Many Horses said the word submission, as we're taught when I was young, is more like slavery. From reading scripture, I don't think that was an accurate interpretation. And I think that's I think you're absolutely right. A lot of the world, a lot of America for sure, the direction our country's gone over the last several decades is that word submission is looked at like you're going to be someone's slave, and that's not accurate at all. I don't feel like that's what the Bible intends that word to be used as you're not a slave. Just because you marry somebody and you submit to them doesn't mean you're their slave. So that was a good comment. Thanks. Susie Q, marriage is very hard. I only want a divorce every other day. That's funny. Oh man, I've been there. Marriage is tough, man. It's a lot of fun, but it is tough. Logan's Homestead says, what do y'all do with y'all's goats? Check out my channel. I will check out your channel. If I can't click on it right now, or it'll click over to it. But most our goats are just, well, let's see. I mostly just raise them to sell. In Oklahoma, and just like a lot of states, if you got livestock, you can get a farm exemption. And we had cows, but the property I live on is probably 80% timber, and there's very little grass. So with cows, I end up feeding a lot. Spend a lot of money on feed. Goats in our part of the country have really taken off the last several years. When I got into goats, you could buy a full-grown nanny, like a boar cross, nothing special, meat goat for $50, $75. And now everything I sold this year, I sold about 25 kids, and most of them sold anywhere from $1.80 to $2.50 a pound, and that's selling them at 45 to 50, 60 pounds. So I just mostly raise them to sell. We've eaten a few, but we usually get a calf and raise a calf on a bottle or something every now and then, and butcher a calf, and we can fill our freezer full of meat. Versus a 50, 60 pound goat, that's just not a lot of meat. So they're mostly just meat goats. So, all right, guys. Well, it's after 11. My time's up. My computer's about to go dead because I forgot to bring my charger over here. So, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I enjoy it, but struggling with it still. This live show is tough. It's hard to stay on topic. It's hard to stay on the flow and keep going without sitting here boring you to death. So anyways, I do appreciate you joining me. I'm going to try to do it again next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll start at 10 o'clock Central Time and not be 30 minutes late or 20 minutes late, whatever we were today. I was about ready to Um, so anyways, I'm going to shut the live feed off. I'm going to stay in the chat and talk for a few minutes. If any of you, I'm going to answer a few questions in there. But I'm going to kill the live feed. So guys, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.